Hello from the great swing state of Nevada, my first stop on the stand-up swing state tour. Thank you to everybody who is sponsoring this. I really appreciate you joining me today. The recap of all recaps of last night's debate and every debate is written by our friend Maura Quint over at McSweeney's, which is a hilarious satire outlet. And Maura has the recap from last night. I read from it and talk with her. Great conversation with her. Also, I've got last night's post-debate hangout audio, the conversation that we had as a group, over 80 of us watching the debate together. I give you that on today's podcast after my conversation with Maura. And if that's not enough, I've got a prank call from my dad to the RNC, which is pretty funny as well. I've got your clips, I've got your headlines, all on today's episode of Stand Up from Nevada, everybody. I hope that you are doing okay, hanging in there. Thank you to everybody who joined me at the Hangout. You can listen or watch it if you're a paid subscriber. There is a link in the email yesterday. I'll probably put it in today's as well. This is my fourth day out here in Nevada trying to figure out the most effective strategies and methods of getting out the vote, whether it's registering voters, knocking on doors, interviewing people, or today I went to the organizing crew at the Nevada DNC, Nevada Dems, over 150 organizers, and I gave a little keynote, a little inspiring and entertaining talk to kick them off today. It was really wonderful, made a lot of contacts. Tomorrow's show, you will hear from some scholars and journalists out here in Nevada. I've got that planned and so much more. You can find me in the middle of a busy boulevard, holding up signs, everything I possibly can. I'm spreading it far and wide here in Nevada, trying to make the most impact I can in a week. And thank you again to Cassie Rice and her family for putting me up out here in her beautiful home. Could not do it without your support. Look forward to seeing more of you in Michigan, Pennsylvania, Arizona, Wisconsin, maybe. Still don't have it completely booked. I really wanted to see how this went, but I am definitely going to do a lot more between November 5th and now. I hope you will join me and continuing to support me. All right. Well, I woke up this morning to the wildfire smoke and more 100-degree weather out here in Nevada. I don't know how you folks do it out here in the desert and in California as well, where these wildfires continue to burn. Let's get to those headlines and clips right now. The bridge fire in California's Angeles National Forest continued to grow yesterday, consuming nearly 48,000 acres as of Wednesday morning. A day after it reached 34,000 acres within a matter of hours, the blaze, first detected on Sunday, is the largest active wildfire in the state. And Hurricane Francine's northern eye wall approaching the Louisiana coast, expected to make landfall yesterday as Category 1 hurricane, bringing life-threatening storm surges and hurricane-force winds. Let's head over to Ukraine, where the news is the United States and Britain have pledged nearly $1.5 billion in additional aid to Ukraine Wednesday during a visit to Kiev by their top diplomats, as Ukrainian officials renewed their pleas to use Western-provided missiles against targets deeper inside Russia. Our Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, announced more than $700 million in humanitarian aid, while the British Foreign Secretary confirmed that his country would provide another $782 million in assistance and loan guarantees. In Mexico, their Senate passed a sweeping overhaul of the country's judiciary system, clearing the last major obstacle to the former president Andrés Manuel López Obrador's proposal. And coming back to the U.S. and our Supreme Court, you know how they curtailed affirmative action? Well, now Harvard's black enrollment has declined and Hispanic enrollment went up. How about that? In health news, sterilizations among women increased after the Supreme Court decision that overturned Roe v. Wade. Experts said the research underscored how abortion bans had affected women's contraception choices. The House Speaker, Christian nationalist Mike Johnson, scrapped a vote on a 6-month stopgap spending measure a few weeks before the September 30th deadline to avoid a government shutdown. Yesterday, of course, was 9/11, and all the big dignitaries were there, including Vice President Harris and the disgraced former President Donald Trump, who shook hands at the September 11th memorial during a ceremony commemorating the 23rd anniversary of the attacks. And while despite being easily preventable, cholera deaths have soared worldwide, which is a terrible headline to read. Fatalities spiked 71% last year, far outpacing the 13% rise in cases, according to the World Health Organization, which is just awful. And a new study found that Europeans used cocaine much earlier than previously thought, which I thought was a hilarious headline. And finally, a good headline, good news on inflation. Inflation's steady march lower continued Wednesday, with the Bureau of Labor Statistics reporting that consumer price growth slowed to 2.5% in August, the lowest measure since 2021. All right, those are the headlines that I found for you yesterday. What am I missing? Always want to hear from you. standupwithpete@gmail.com to tell me more. Now let's get to the clips that I brought to today's show. Let's start with a hilarious J.L. Cauvin impression of Donald Trump. Nobody does it better. This is 2 minutes and 30 seconds of hilarity that I want to start with, and I'll end with comedy in today's clips as well. But first, the great J.L. Cauvin, who hung out with us at the Hangout last night. You should be hearing him if you listen to that part. But let's get to his version of President Trump's reaction to last night's debate.
And the governor of West Virginia, or Virginia, one of the states, was allowing abortion. No, he was allowing abortion in the 19th year of pregnancy, and that's what the Democrats want. It's a horrible thing. We gave it to the states. We gave it to the state. That's what the states want. Everybody was asking for it. We gave it to the states. And now what she wants to do is she wants to go into prisons and force people to eat their pets while doing trans surgeries on the pets with illegal aliens watching and filming it. For OnlyFans. That's what she wants to do, but we're not doing it. And do I have a plan? No, I have an idea for a concept of a plan, which we'll organize. We have an outline of a concept of an idea for organizing a plan. She has no plans. We have all the plans. And Putin said to me, he said, she's a nasty person, and it's a horrible thing what she's doing. Our economy is losing. We're losing money. I think I'm losing brain cells. I just peed my pants. I'm pretty sure I'm having a stroke. It's called heart attack. I have a lot of doctors in my family, and I think it's called a heart attack. And basically, if we elect Hunter Biden again, we're going to lose the country. We're going to lose the country. Hunter Biden is corrupt as the day is long. And I have a concept of a diaper that's full of shit right now because this black or Indian or black, maybe she's black, we don't know. She can be whatever she wants. But the point is, we have to elect me, and we had the greatest economy in the history, and we're losing people. People are dying. People are dying every hour because of what they're saying. She's killing somebody on the stage right now, and his name is Donald Trump, and I think I'm having a heart attack, and the drugs are wearing off, and I'm going to start to slur a little bit because this is bad, and I think I'm going to lose this election, and we're going to have to do another January 6th, and this time it's going to be bad, and Ashley Babbitt and Roger Rabbit and all these other people, and it's a bad thing, and she's a nasty woman, and Crooked Hillary, and Ronald Reagan, and I'm better than Lincoln, and I think I just died, and I'm going to heaven. Why is heaven is hotter than I thought. There's a lot of flames. There's my buddy Jeff Epstein. Okay, I'm seeing. Bye-bye.
Yeah, so good. So good. All right, well, last night's Hangout, when we wrapped, I got greedy and I just agreed earlier to go on Australian national television and do a 3-minute hit with them recapping last night's debate. And the weird thing is I tried to do two things at once, and somehow I guess I pulled it off. I thought I had my sound off, but apparently people could hear my side of the conversation. But here is my 3-minute conversation. I had one camera on Australian TV on me, and the other camera was me managing the Zoom. Thank you to Kevin Richburg and everybody who carried it while I was gone. But here's what I sounded like recapping the debate for the Australians last night, and I didn't hold back.
US political commentator Pete Dominic in Nevada. Pete, thank you so much for your time. Okay, in your opinion, who won?
In my opinion, who won? Oh, what an amazing question. Well, in my opinion, everybody in America pretty much thinks that Kamala Harris cleaned the clock of the disgraced former president. It was a really imbalanced debate. I mean, I would even argue that men should not be in powerful positions because he was so emotional. So it was a really hard debate for him. He was always on the defense, and she was calm, cool, collected, analytical, and inspiring. That's my thought.
You could tell in their body language, Trump didn't once look at Harris, never referred to her by her name or as vice president. He constantly said she and her as references. Harris addressed viewers right down the barrel of the camera at home. She spoke to them, she laughed, she showed charisma. I guess the question, though, becomes, did we learn anything more about what she stands for, what makes her different from Biden?
Yes, I think we learned a lot about what she stands for. Those of us who follow politics on a day-to-day basis have known who Kamala Harris is since she was the Attorney General of the most populated state in the United States of America, which I think has more people even than Australia. She was the Attorney General of 36 million people in California. So certainly Californians knew who she was, those of us who follow politics. But tonight she was introduced to an audience of Americans that might not know. Young people, everybody, influencers all across America who normally cover fashion and gossip were covering this debate. And they saw a cool, calm, and collected, inspiring, courageous, brilliant woman taking on a Hulk smash infant, a disgrace, a has-been, and it was really, really, I think, an amazing moment for America.
To be fair for Donald Trump, his strength has always been that he doesn't talk like a politician, despite the rants that go way off tangent. What did you say? What do you think what he said worked, and what did you think he said that was weird?
Well, yeah, that's a great question. What did he say that was weird? I mean, his behavior is weird. You know, you commented that he didn't look at her. He didn't call her by name. That's pretty weird. His inability to understand how a woman's body works is really weird. His behavior the entire night was weird. He didn't really land any punches, so to speak, in terms of the debate. It was the complete reversal of the last debate, where obviously Joe Biden did such a bad job that he had to step down. And everybody thought Trump won. I think the difference tonight is the opposite. Everybody thinks Kamala Harris won. I'd be shocked if Donald Trump agrees to meet her in that arena ever again.
Really, really quickly, winning a debate's one thing. Encouraging and inspiring people to vote, though, in 56 days' time, that's another. Was that enough to encourage people to vote?
Oh, boy, it's a great question, and I sure hope so. I'm going around the country into what we call swing states, those states where a lot of Americans might still be undecided or there's an even split, trying to register people to vote, whoever they're going to vote for. We don't have great turnouts in American elections. We have far too much apathy in the United States of apathy, as I've often called it. So I'm doing everything I can to fight that and always have in my career, because that's the point that you just made. We don't vote enough. We don't have compulsory voting like we do in Australia. I wish we would. But hopefully people will turn out. Kamala Harris is a really inspiring candidate, and Donald Trump, well, you guys can decide your own views down there in Australia.
Well, Pete Dominic, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, there it was. That's how it sounded last night on Australian TV. Those of you that were watching, apparently my mic was open. You could hear my side of it. I returned to the Hangout, and then we spent another hour or so together, but I wanted to share that with you. Now let's go to Piers Morgan's show, because Republican pollster Frank Luntz basically said that Trump lost last night, and it's too good not to share with you.
Do you think Kamala won, and does that mean she may now win the election?
I think more accurately it's that Donald Trump lost. And this is not the worst debate performance I've seen in my career, but it's very close to it. The conversations about people eating dogs and cats, calling the leader of Hungary one of the greatest world leaders, repeatedly missing the opportunity to focus on inflation and affordability, and the complete inability to present his point of view without completely tearing into Joe Biden, into whomever was in his sights. It was a pretty negative performance, pretty pessimistic, cynical, contemptuous, and I think that this will cost him. Yes, I'm trying to decide if I want to go on record, and the answer is yes. I think that he loses because of this debate performance.
Wow.
And Trump supporter and absolute maniac RFK Jr. was on Fox News with Neil Cavuto last night, and even he said that Kamala Harris won. Listen to RFK Jr.
I think that Vice President Harris clearly won the debate in terms of her delivery, her polish, her organization, and her preparation. I think on substance, President Trump wins in terms of his governance. But he didn't tell that story. In fact,
all right, I don't really need to hear any more, but I thought that was pretty interesting. Trump can't be too happy about his new friend throwing him under the bus, and his old friend either. Geraldo's an old friend of his. He was on News Nation with Chris Cuomo, and he reamed Donald Trump real good.
I thought that you're being much too kind, Bill, as you usually are, to President Trump. He was childish. He was creepy. He was cringy. That thing about eating dogs, they eat dogs, he was obsessed with it. He wouldn't let it go. He put that bone in his mouth and he rattled it. And I thought that she withstood Hurricane Trump. She came across as competent, even confident after that first half hour, which I agree with you, Trump, that was definitely his best half hour. Then he just descended into chaos. He couldn't make a straight point. He kept returning to generalizations as thinking that through braggadocio alone that he could prevail. He was terrible tonight. And you can apologize for him all you want, but he did not seem presidential. He wouldn't even have made the debate team at a junior high. He was just trying to use his bully lines. And then when he says, Biden hates you, talk about junior high, Biden hates you. You know, what is that? That's a president of the United States? Just debasing himself. I thought that he was absolutely ineffective, blathering, and he was so unprepared on the issues. She was ready. She almost knew what he was going to go off on ahead of time.
All right, that's enough from Geraldo on News Nation last night. Well, here is Mitt Romney. Senator Mitt Romney was asked about and weighed in on the performance, and he said, guess what? Kamala won. She looked great. Sounded great.
This was classic President Trump performance. In the case of Kamala Harris, most people didn't know her terribly well, other than a few clips that were not flattering that you might see on the internet. And people saw, oh, actually, she's an intelligent, capable person who has a point of view on issues, and she demonstrated that time and again.
Yeah, I mean, I'm only playing Republicans, basically, for you. Here's another one. Chris Christie on The View yesterday.
Look, in the end last night, she did what she had to do.
Yes, she did.
Which was, she's the lesser-known person with the lesser profile. She needed to show those undecided voters that she belonged on that stage.
Right.
And last night, she showed she belonged on the stage. Yeah. And that's why, look, I saw her campaign put out a challenge for a second debate right after the debate. Please stop.
Yeah, that'll never happen.
Don't do it.
Do not toy with perfection.
Don't do that. Really, seriously.
Yeah.
Like, you get in the ring against a guy who has had more presidential debates than anybody in history, and you knock him around.
Yeah.
Raise your arms, go do 2 rallies a day, raise some money, and go home, man.
Yeah.
Because nothing great can happen for her in a second debate.
I don't think
she'll either do as well as she did this time, or he could do better.
I have to ask you.
All right, there you go. That's Chris Christie on The View yesterday. And let's head over to CNN. Caitlin Collins had Congresswoman Ilhan Omar on her show, and she asked her about the horrible, vicious, completely racist, made-up story that Haitian immigrants are eating people's pets. Thought this was important.
It's obviously a much more complicated and nuanced picture than what the Trump Vance campaign are painting about what's happening in Springfield. But when you hear a false claim like that amplified to nearly 70 million people, do you worry about what it means for the Haitian refugees who are living in places like that?
Well, first, I want to say just the insanity of having a senator, a candidate for vice president, and a former president, and now a candidate for president, really talking about memeing into reality a racist conspiracy, dangerous story like this. What it means is that there are so many people now who are looking for stories to make this true. And it gins up this dangerous reaction by folks who are unstable, in which then they go and try to protect these animals that they think that are being attacked by Haitian immigrants and cause harm to people who are already vulnerable, who came to this country seeking stability and safety and coming from situations that were already volatile. And I think, when we think about the bigger picture, is thinking about what kind of country do we want to be, right? Is this the kind of rhetoric and messaging that we want the world to see about who our leaders are and those, that could potentially be elected into the highest leadership in our office and in our country? And I think what Harris did so well last night was remind the American people that this manic, dangerous liar cannot be reelected as president of the United States, and how crucial it is for us not to go back to the dark and dangerous days of the Trump presidency.
All right, there you go. Ilhan Omar. I thought that was very eloquent. Wanted to share that with you. And now for more comedy, as promised. This was really great. Trey Crowder, 3 minutes of Trey Crowder talking to his sons, his middle school aged sons. And it was super enlightening. I wasn't sure I was going to like this, but it was real good. And then we'll listen to my dad prank call the RNC, which is also very fun.
All right, well, the big debate happened tonight, and I figured y'all could probably guess what I think, so let's take a different approach. Let's see what my two sons, two middle school boys, for whom tonight's debate was their very first introduction to American politics ever, let's see what they thought. And I know that sounds like bullshit, but it's not. Let's go.
Do I ever talk to y'all about politics?
No.
Ever?
The
Never.
only things that you've ever brought up about politics are taxes exist, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
So the only politics my sons have ever heard me talk was bitching about taxes, all right? If anything, they're little Republicans, all right? Let's keep going.
Okay, so having said that, you guys just watched that debate, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What did you think about Donald Trump?
That it seemed like he was just mostly making stuff up to try and counter what Harris was saying.
So this kid immediately clocked Trump as being full of shit, and he's on the fence about whether or not Santa Claus is real, okay?
And what'd you say when he brought up the 9-month abortion thing?
Murder.
Right. Right.
So my sons scoff at the very idea of post-birth abortions, yet 30% of Americans are out here genuinely believing that Democrats are walking around NICUs with hoovers just like thump, thump.
But he said, they took my dog, and then this guy said that they had eaten him.
Right. And you think that happened?
No, I think after Harris said something, he said, no, he said transgender operations on illegal aliens in prison.
MAGA, do you hear how hard these children are genuinely laughing at what you actually believe? Reevaluate.
But after sitting down and watching tonight for a little bit, how do you feel about Donald Trump in just a few words?
Lie, pets a fire.
Okay.
That's my few words.
Okay, all right.
Why is he orange?
From the mouths of babes, am I right? Their first impression of Trump was that he's a laughable huckster. But I have one more question for him.
Also, after having never seen Kamala Harris speak or me ever saying a word to you about her, but watching her tonight, what's your honest opinion? You go first.
I just feel like she wants to genuinely help the people of USA.
Okay.
The US.
And your brother? What do you think?
No more child executions.
Okay. All right. You heard it here first, everybody. America's children speak.
So yeah, the younger one's a bit of a goofball, but either way, if you're a grown-ass MAGA man or woman, I know that thinking is hard, but still reflect. Look inward. It's not too late. Love y'all.
All right, there you go. Comedian Trey Crowder. Good stuff. And comedian Chuck Dominic joins us now. My dad sent me this voicemail or this recording of a phone call he made. He told me he was going to do this, and I just get this message yesterday. It was just for me. I didn't tell him I was going to play on the show, but I am playing it for everybody. It was just for me, but I love it. He is wasting their resources over there at the RNC, messing with them. And my dad, 80-year-old, sharp as hell, hasn't missed a step, still hilarious, and you got to love him. Here it is, him leaving a message at Senator Vance's office yesterday because, yeah, that's what it was. Jimmy Kimmel gave out the phone number for Senator Vance's office, so my dad thought, you know what, I'll give him a call.
Of Senator Vance. Currently, all of our staff are assisting other callers, so please leave a message including your name and contact information. Thank you so much. Record your message at the tone. When you are finished, hang up or press pound for more options.
Hi, I just called a minute ago. I'm not sure if my message went through. This is Mr. Charles. They call me Mr. C. And I'm thinking of moving to Springfield, Ohio. I watched Patriot Donald Trump speak last night, and I thought it was just wonderful. And J.D. Vance is doing such a terrific job as his running mate. Go team. But here's my problem. Since I said already I'm moving to Springfield, Ohio, and I'm worried about Lester and George. Lester is my pet cat, and George is my pet dog. And I'm worried about those terrible Haitians eating my animals, and I'm wondering, should I put them in foster care? Is there a neighborhood I could move to where they could be safe? It's just very concerning to me, and I know this is a major problem. It certainly is for me, but if you could call me back, I'd appreciate a phone call. Maybe help me out with my dilemma. And thank you very much, and go Republican team. What just a couple of wonderful men we've got running for the presidency. Thank you very much.
Mr. C strikes again, everybody. Oh, so good, Dad. I love you. Oh, my gosh. We all love you. That was really, really awesome. Okay, well, that is all I've got for you, and headlines and clips. But as promised, a great conversation with Maura Quint, who is an activist and a satirist and an amazing social media person. And I just love her. She writes these great recaps after the debates, all the debates, for McSweeney's Quarterly Concern. McSweeney's is a hilarious satire outlet, and nobody does better than Maura Quint. I caught up with her yesterday, got her reaction to the debate, and recapped her hilarious summary that everybody's got to go read. And then coming up after, you'll hear our post-debate hangout conversation, completely unedited. So here that goes. Let's go right now with Maura Quint. There she is. You've done it again. A hilarious recap of last night's debate. Thank you for joining me to talk about it.
Thanks for having me on. I'm half awake.
Yeah, because it was a long night. You probably wrote that up in the wee hours, but I'm glad that you did because it's so great. How did you watch it?
So I have all sorts of internet problems. I was trying to watch it through one of the services and then ended up just having to watch it through PBS on my laptop.
So what is your reaction overall before we get to the specifics of last night's debate?
Well, I mean, I think we were all coming into it super traumatized from the last one because that was so, terrible just in the first couple of seconds watching Biden and when all of our hearts sank. And so I think everybody had this like nervous, terrified energy. And I mean, overall, the first answer that Harris gave, it did not really like fully alleviate the fear because it was very canned. Her response was very like, this is a rehearsed answer that she had given, which wasn't really, I think, what we were all looking for. But then once we got into it, it was like, oh, okay, Trump's a fucking crazy person. I can't believe anyone is letting him speak or listening to him and taking him seriously at all. And that, was nice that got highlighted.
About that moment, you wrote at your piece, Lindsay Davis begins the debate by focusing on a critical topic for most Americans, the economy. She asks Harris if she believes Americans are better off now than they were 4 years ago. Harris responds warmly and directly by ignoring the question and instead shares her plans for tax credits for families and small businesses. In a rare act of restraint, Trump waits until he's called on and then replies with a string of unrelated words that include tariffs, border, and various Anthony Hopkins roles. His eyes, small black raisins nestled between pink caterpillar lids, shrink slightly further back into his skull. To me, that line about his eyes and his face was worth reading the entire piece. Like that one alone, your description of his face.
I couldn't stop staring. I mean, like his eyes were getting smaller and smaller, and because I guess it's like the self-tanner or whatever, but his face is so strange at this point. I don't know what he's doing to it, but there's a weird non-human quality to it.
On social media and apparently to his face, a lot of people were wondering why he seemingly never looked at her when she was talking, when he was talking about her to her, or didn't even say her name. What are your thoughts on that?
That's interesting. I didn't even notice, but you're right. He didn't say her name, but that was probably a wise move because who knows what he was going to say if he tried to say her name. Like that was not going to come out good. But yeah, I did notice that he never looked at her, and she was certainly looking directly at him. But I felt the whole time that he was really just focused on David. It's like, because, you also had a moderator who was a woman of color. And I just felt like Trump was just zeroed in on like, there's a white man. Like this is the only person, this is the life raft. And that's all I'm going to look at. That's all I'm going to really address. He just really seemed to cling there. I mean, he's definitely afraid of her. Yeah. But I also think my guess is that he was probably coached not to look at her. Like he probably was told not to look at her, and probably because he's so neurologically ridiculous, and he's so like he can only respond to whatever comes immediately into his view. It's why he's like always talking about things that he saw on TV earlier that day. Like I feel as though if he looked at her, it would just like prompt this whole random tirade. Like who knows what would come out of his mouth? I can't even imagine. And I would, if I were, a handler or a prep coach, I would certainly be like, head down on the paper, like do not look anywhere else, because we do not want anything else coming into your brain right now, because we do not trust your brain. It is not functioning well.
That's really, really smart analysis, and interesting that if someone did tell him that he actually took the direction, because he doesn't very well.
That's
but yeah,
unlikely. Yeah, that's what really sinks my theory.
The message from his brains that just jump in there instantly, that sends a signal to his face that if that whole reaction occurred, he would have given a facial expression that he wanted to eat her or hurt her or something bad. That facial expression he had when he went up against Hillary. Maybe he learned something. I've got to ask you about the moderators. We could all, with all the caveats of the corporate media and debates and the fact that Donald Trump is even on that stage, hey, at least they didn't have the music and the live audience and those elements, which ruined everything. But overall, we can always complain, plenty to criticize. But what did you think of the moderators, and specifically the questions and the topics, and maybe even the priority of them in terms of where they took place in the event last night? So the debate moderation, subjects, questions, thoughts.
Oh, Pete, the moment where you have just had so many bad dates in a row, and just people have just been absolutely shitty to you. They're dull, they're dim, they're cruel, they're mean, they've played you, they've hurt you. And you are just at the point where you're like, well, I'm going to dig a hole in the ground, and that's where I'm going to live for the rest of my life, because I don't want to interact with other humans. And then someone comes by and is just like, hey, you look nice today. And you're just like, oh my God, live with me forever. That's, can we build a life on this? Like you're just so desperate for any ounce of human kindness. I don't know the topics, the order of them. Who cares? I don't know. Lindsay said, hey, you're lying. And then David said, hey, that's not true. I don't give a shit what else they did. It was amazing. I needed so little.
Yeah.
They're obviously superhuman. They're incredible. They just give them everything.
All I want is a person in my life who will fact check. That's the partner I want. Not me, though. Not me. Just the world.
I was going to say, I have that. I have teens and preteens.
Yeah,
so, that's exactly what I live with. But no, it was, that alone was so shocking and incredible and wonderful that it's like, they could have been doing it naked. I don't know. They could have been throwing tomatoes at me the whole time, and I'd be like, thank you. Yes. Can I have another? I'm not sure. Beyond that, the topics seemed decent. They certainly tried to cover a wide range of things. They acknowledge the other thing too, obviously it's very hard to be like, no, you have to answer the question. You have to answer the question. I mean, I'm not sure how you do that, but they certainly did point out when the questions weren't answered.
Yes.
Which was also really nice to be like, okay, I guess you're not going to answer that. Turning to, that alone was really refreshing. So, I mean, I loved them.
Back to your McSweeney's piece, you write at 9:21 p.m., staying on the topic of abortion, Lindsey Davis says to Trump, your running mate, J.D. Vance, has said you would veto a national ban if it came to your desk. Trump responds, who? Davis repeats, he's your running mate. Oh, that guy, God, he is weird. But, I don't actually talk to him, but you might have thoughts, his thoughts. That's okay. That's okay. I thought his name was J.D. Vance. And I said, that's a big guy. J.D. Vance, a big guy. And they said, sir, it's J.D. Vance. And that's not as good, is it, folks? But that's okay. I don't judge. Trump hunches forward in a vaguely melting fashion. Muir nods. Thank you. The issue, that's brilliant.
You just wanted to read it.
Just wanted to perform it.
You're real good. That was a good performance.
Thank you.
I liked that.
The issue of abortion and the answers to it and the thoughts around that. I thought that was a really very strong moment for her after coming out kind of flat on economics. Maybe it's the subject itself, but not answering the question, which I thought was a slam dunk. How were we 4 years ago? She should have been like, are you kidding me? 4 years ago, blank, blank, blank. But nonetheless, we get to abortion, and that's where she seemed to really hit her marks and never, I would say, look back from the rest of the debate. What are your thoughts on her answers there and the visceral, the specifics when she talked about actual victims?
Definitely. I think she's been strong on that throughout the whole campaign, which, I mean, obviously it's not a very long campaign at this point, but I think that's an issue that she has been able to really voice in a way that connects and that really works. Absolutely. And Trump was fully on the back foot. And of course, one of the moments where he was made to look like an absolute lunatic, which, I mean, loved that. I loved that he absolutely went for those moments. He was baited into them and he just went head first into the
I was
deep end of the pool.
I was surprised. There were leaks that she was going to bait him, and it seems like a good strategy, but I figured he'd be prepared for that. And so I was pleasantly surprised that he took the bait in almost every time in the worst kind of ways, it would seem. So she was right.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think he could be prepared for that. I don't think he's capable of it. He is too much of an egotistical, narcissistic personality. Like there's nothing really to be done. And then he has additionally surrounded himself by this sort of smaller and smaller section of more increasingly enthusiastic yes men. So, I mean, there's nothing in his world. He's gone the opposite way. He has not learned how to deal with these things better. In fact, he's just become more coddled and more used to being told he's right all the time. So
I thought that the fact that she specifically brought up his crowd size and talked about people walking out bored and yawning was so specific, and probably they thought a lot about what the bait was going to be. The fact that they went with that and that he ate it up, yum, yum on the hook, was shocking to me. No, it shouldn't have been.
But and they were not ever. That was not a surprise. So, I mean, as I'm sure you know, she purchased TV ads on Fox News yesterday that were the moment of Barack Obama sort of making fun of his crowd size.
I did not realize that, actually. That's great.
She played ads, of mocking his ad size on Fox News.
Yep.
And she took out digital billboards around in that area of Philadelphia where it was, size matters. And she was using a Pennsylvania soft pretzel, so like a whole one for her and a little nub for him.
No way. Wow.
Yeah, no. So she spent the whole day trying to just poke him, just poke, so that by the time he walked onto that stage, he was ready to burst. So she just needed to do a final pin push.
That I did not realize. Oh, very good. It seemed like the moment that everybody is talking about, the moment that was real crazy, is when he brought up immigrants eating pets and cats. Obviously, I don't know how you as a comedy writer parody that. You did it. But what do you was there any other moment than that stood out more than that? Was that the weirdest and most remarkable moment? Is that the moment that we'll watch the most. And sadly, how much damage does that do to immigrant communities, by the way? Because it really does do damage. I mean, it makes people afraid for another reason they don't need to be of their immigrant neighbor.
I mean, that's just it. He, again, when I'm saying he's like been coddled by the types of people that he's surrounding himself, it's also the media and the fans. He has really wrapped himself up in this extreme right-wing, very online world that most people are not in. That is a very small subsect. And so that whole narrative of, the Haitian immigrants eating your pets has been going on in the extreme right-wing world online for the last week at least, if not, longer, but it's really been strong in the last week. So, I mean, that's him responding to these things that he's seeing. And to him, it's like, of course, everybody knows this. But to an average viewer who is not inundated in right-wing media war stuff all the time, it's like, what the hell?
Like the vast majority of young people who are getting their information on, including my daughters, on TikTok, they didn't know about that rumor, probably that racist rumor. All they saw was Trump's reaction to it. That's a brilliant point that you're making. And by the way, the most impactful, I think, tweet of the night that I saw came from right-wing Trump supporter Eric Erickson, who about that moment said, you stupid motherfuckers just got Trump to repeat your lie about the pets. Congrats on setting the news stories tomorrow by lying. So Trump picks it up and says stupid shit. It's exactly kind of what you said and what happened.
It is. And also, I mean, how wild is it that you have a candidate where you're like, no. If you show him that, he's going to think it's real. You can't show him the moving pictures. He doesn't understand fact from fiction. He's going to run with it. We can't show him cartoons. He thinks Jerry's a guy. He thinks Tom is scared of him. Like he's going to interpret this. And like, that's wild to have someone that is like below a toddler's mentality. Like I can pull a 4-year-old aside and be like, hey, buddy, I know, but that's not actually real. And that 4-year-old's eventually going to get it. Trump won't. Like, that's crazy. And they're just like, no, but he's our guy. Yeah, keep going.
Your closing statements are hilarious at the McSweeney's piece. You're right. Nobody needs to go click on this and give it the traffic it deserves, so Maura gets the credit. But you write that Harris's closing statement, you write, tonight you've heard two very different visions for the country. One that is focused on the future, and one that is focused on whatever neurons in that egomaniacal head are randomly firing at any given moment. You might like me and you might not, but I can speak a coherent sentence, and I'm not currently threatening to have anyone killed or incarcerated, which wildly is a vast difference from the other person who has inexplicably been elevated to this stage. Which, by the way, Maura, like, it needed to be said, almost could have been said by Kamala, but everywhere on social media, like every question or every 5 minutes, I can't believe he's on the stage. He's a convicted criminal. He's a cartoon. I can't believe that this many Americans still support him, that he won a Republican primary. So don't know if you want to remark. And
Harris did say that on the stage. I mean, she did not say exactly the quote that I put down, but at various points, she absolutely was pointing to what is he doing here? That was the implication of several of the things that she said. And, I don't know that he is mentally fit. She was absolutely making those points. So which I appreciated very much.
And here we go. Trump. Closing statement. I don't like her. She's mean. These are Maura's words. I don't like her. She's mean. Everyone in here is mean. This is a failing nation that I'm in charge of, and I think I should run against Biden, who is dead. Where is he? We don't see him. Is he with the Ghostbusters now? That one ghost, very sexy, very nice ghost, taking the pants off. And they were very mean to the marshmallows. Weren't they mean? Very mean. I'd like to wish everyone, including all the haters and losers, of which sadly there are many, a truly happy, enjoyable debate. Oh, look, it's Taylor Swift coming on stage. She loves me. Taylor Swift, holding a cat, winks at the camera. End scene. A brilliant piece by you. That's hilarious. How much does Taylor Swift's endorsement actually matter?
I don't know. I mean, I think that I get a little nervous sometimes when people are like, oh my goodness, think of all these young women who are going to be swayed now. That kind of bugs me because it's like, actually, no, most of those young women were already engaged. We should not assume that a pop star holds the intellectual ability or holds the intellects of her fans and is dictating to them. I think most of those people really already were engaged if they were going to be. However, I do think that her call to make sure that you're registered to vote, to, check how you're going to vote, those types of things were incredibly helpful. I think that's something everyone should do. And we all kind of have a tendency to take it for granted, and we can't do that at this moment in time. So I do think that that's really wonderful. And I also think it is helpful and motivating that she calls out when terrible people are being abusive, which is what the Trump campaign was doing by implying that she was on their side before. Yeah. And I think that is the sort of thing that's motivated. So it's not as though I think a bunch of, 18-year-old girls, women just went, oh, wow, I guess I should vote. I hadn't thought of that before. But I do think a bunch of people who maybe went, what are we doing this weekend? You know what? Maybe, let's look up how we volunteer. Like, I do think that it puts it more in the forefront of people's thoughts and maybe adds a little bit of extra motivation because, fuck that guy. I mean, as much of that as we can get is good.
But there is this kind of, at least with Taylor Swift and many others, she's a respected singer-songwriter and kind of businesswoman and says and thinks a lot of things that remind you of what is good and right in your world, on your earth. And so her reconfirming some of those things is reassuring because, hey, I respect this person, the way that she's conducted her life and the things that she thinks. And so that restores what I already believe. And it's kind of a cyclical. I think that's okay. I think that's good.
Oh, it's always good. Whenever we have anybody that we look to in any sort of elevated form, it is wonderful when they can confirm or reflect back on us feelings and thoughts that we had. So no, I mean, look, I think it's a great thing. I'm so happy. But what I think was really the best part about it, the thing that I think is wonderful was the timing. And I don't know if that was calculated and worked through, or if that is how that just went down. And having existed in these worlds for long enough, 50% that this was an orchestrated thing or this just happened this way. But Taylor Swift putting that out right at the end of the debate when you had so many newsrooms poised to try and spin this into Trump faltered, but she was, very but they both clashed on all of their sort of equivocating nonsense that they are so apt and desperate to do. She just knocked half of that out because she became the headline. And that was so smart and so great. And I loved seeing that moment.
Maura Quint, loved talking with you in this moment. Thank you. Go read the piece at McSweeney's, everybody, and we'll talk to you very, very soon. All right, there she goes, Maura Quint. Go read her at McSweeney's. Go read the whole thing. So good. And support her on Blue Sky, Instagram, and Twitter. That's where she lives these days on social media. Okay, now what I've got for you, for anybody who wants to keep listening, it's a great conversation between stand-up listeners and so many smart people. I love hearing what you have to say about everything. And it's the one thing I certainly miss about the live shows, the live feedback, which is why the Hangout last night, the watch party, was so great, so much fun, because I got to hear your feedback right here. And so I wanted to share it with everybody listening. Again, this is unedited. I'm not sure if it makes sense. I'm sure there's some talking over and some other issues with it. But if you want to pretend like you were there or relive it and hear a whole wide range of very thoughtful people weighing in, this is the place to be right now. Let's do it with last night's post-debate conversation from our subscriber hangout. The moderators, let's just stick to the moderator for a second. Who wants to weigh in? And then I'll say simply that I thought their issues, like the way that they discussed them, I thought it was great. January 6th came up. Climate came up. Hummel, you're shaking your head. I'm going to put you on the spot.
Yeah, I thought I put a thing in the chat early on. They did very subtle fact-checking that I thought was really, really critical. They didn't overdo it. Yeah. And then they would ask a yes or no question, and if he didn't answer it, they go, we're looking for a yes or no answer. And he wouldn't answer. So it was subtle, but it was incredibly effective. But I could see why the Republicans on Fox are pissed, because that didn't happen on CNN. If it had happened on CNN, that debate may have gone differently. So
yeah, I hope Jake Tapper is super embarrassed. I hope he feels like shit.
I'm sorry. Oh, I see what you're saying because of the last debate. But in the Republican, you're not saying that you're monitoring Fox right now, are you?
But Kimberly is.
No, somebody said that I've seen some chatter on social media that Fox that they're already blaming ABC for Trump's poor performance, and that's because accountability fucking sucks, man.
Yeah, the way you said that last phrase feels like somebody held you accountable, and you're pissed about it still. You're like, accountability sucks.
I'm always accountable. I'm always accountable.
Very so. You are. You're the best. Okay, my reactions on the moderators, on the subject, on what didn't get asked. Let's just stick to, and what are people saying about the ABC moderators? I thought it was pitch perfect as far as a corporate debate. I mean, we can always complain. Oh, Jay Alcovan just sat back down. We're just, let's see if he puts his headphones in.
Let's pour one out for climate change. Climate change really, I mean, I said it before, but climate change got shafted.
Yeah, I missed that.
That's true.
Like, not focused in that moment about how that got hijacked. But I do know that Donald Trump said, Senator, politician. JL, your TV's on in the background, and I just muted you, and it made everything better. So I'm going to go to, but just real quick, Donald Trump did say, listen, solar is terrible, and I love it. I also love solar. He basically said that. It was a real weird moment. LaToya had her hand up, and then did it go down?
No, it did not go down unless it was automatically put down. But I was just going to comment on the moderators and say that of the presidential debates that I've watched since, let's go with 2008. This was absolutely the best presidential debate in terms of the moderators and the questions that I've seen. And I like that they pushed back. They weren't disrespectful. They did not feel meek, because that's the thing that upsets me usually, is that like they act scared or timid to ask the questions or to do the pushback. And I thought they did a really good job that seemed balanced, but still strong. So that was really good for me to see. And that's how every single person, I hope that journalists are paying attention. That's how everybody needs to approach Trump's bullshit. Like, throw back a fact at him because he cannot respond.
Boyle, thank you very much, LaToya. All great comments. And sounds like you're a big fan of David Muir.
Now I am.
Can we just decide, can we just do something very superficial and sexist? Which one of those two moderators is more attractive? Because they are both some damn beautiful people.
David Muir, by far.
Stop trying to divide the country, Pete.
I don't mean to divide the country over who
like Trump.
More attracted to, but I was like, that Lindsay Davis is really beautiful. And then it cut to David Muir, and I'm like, I feel things I haven't felt. Boyle.
So a couple things that are super important about tonight is that Harris, like 30% of potential voters felt like they didn't know enough about Kamala Harris this morning. When you see the polling Gallup, a couple other places were saying that. So what Harris had to do, she couldn't just, and it was like, I was talking to a bunch of people who have done this sort of professionally during the last couple of days. She had to do three really hard things. She had to get on that stage and match up with him so that she did not look like she was being pushed around. And make no mistake, that handshake that she did where she walked up.
Yeah, what was that about? What was that about?
That was a dominance move. That was get out there and say, I'm going to him to shake his hand.
Yeah,
he did not clearly.
He was not ready for that.
He wasn't
ready for that.
He kind of looked and he kind of did this, and then he kind of, but he didn't even take a step towards her. Right.
Desiree says in the chat, she's a bigger man than him. Well said.
Yes. Well, and so she had to.
I am.
She had to show that she could be on the same level with him, that she could be as dominant as him, right? Which she then did throughout the rest of the debate. But then she also had to both attack him, diminish him, and then show people who she was. And she did a really great job of it. Like, everyone watching that learned a lot more about who she is, a lot more about what she thinks. They learned she owns a gun. She's a legal gun owner. They learned that, she knew about a lot of things. And by the way, the really effective stuff, and this is where she's so different from somebody like Hillary Clinton. She did not do the abortion is a right and make it sound legalistic and everything else. And Hillary Clinton didn't mean to do it that way either, but she came off that way too much. She talked about abortion in terms of like, this is how it's going to affect you. your daughter, in your real life, in how you actually live.
Yes.
And so she accomplished like the sort of bullshit macho part of it. She accomplished the telling you who she is and that she gives a shit about you. And then she attacked the fuck out of Trump.
Right.
And I mean,
she did both things. She did both things masterfully. She both inspired and gave answers and tried to pivot.
Yeah.
She didn't take any of his bait. She didn't react to much of what he was saying, which I was disappointed by. I always want her to react specifically and have zingers for the specific stupid shit he does. But I didn't. I think she stayed on message and on strategy about it. Bill, finish your point, and I'm going to get to it.
And then last but not least is that the illustration of that to me was the Ukraine thing, which you guys know I love to talk about it. But what she did is she turned it into a personal attack on him. Weak. She said weak about him multiple times. Stupid. Other people make fun of you. Other world leaders look down on you. Like she took even what could be very dry policy to a lot of people, and she just smacked him across the face with it. So I got to tell you, I never watched these things. I am super happy I watched this tonight.
Wow.
Because it turned out to be. And by the way, Vicky, you win for having such a beautiful grandkid. You win the Robert Mueller action doll that I have, which
oh wow! Oh, look at that, Vicky.
Yeah, the Robert Mueller action doll.
You know, those are hard to come by.
I got to get it to. It's an actual Robert Mueller action doll. I'll send it to you.
Your silly face.
Happy birthday to me.
There you go, Robert Mueller action doll.
Is the action that it does to quietly walk out the door?
It does. It's actually it's very inactive, actually, which is weird. Very ironic.
All the Robert Mueller jokes.
Yes,
doesn't do much.
All right, let's move on. We've got hands up. I don't know who is next. I've lost complete track. Is it Terry's camera? Is this Terry's son?
Yes, it is me, Quinn.
Quinn, go ahead. What did you want to say about the debate?
Okay, I'm going to be honest and say that this is going to be a bit dumb and frivolous, but there's this. I saw this one. I looked at this one tweet from Robert Evans, who does Behind the Bastards, and it's. Can I read it?
Yes. Right.
So, I for one respect that Donald Trump pronounces the word terror like he's talking about Scarlett O'Hara's plantation from Gone with the Wind.
Terror. He said terror. But it's actually a really good point, because when he mispronounces words such as that, it makes him look weird. And when he did it over and over again, and I got a text from one of my smartest favorite people whose name rhymes with Schmerin Carroll, who doesn't want to necessarily tweet things privately, and he just texted me terra, because it's weird. It's weird to mispronounce a word that badly, and that for that reason, it's a great tweet. Thank you for
Anyway, sorry, I know.
No, that's great. I love it. I love that you just share. Yeah, whatever you're seeing out there, it's a good thing to do too. Is not only share your own opinions, but I'm resharing all of my favorite things that I'm seeing being tweeted and shared as well. Joel Bates, you are up. Joel, Charlie, and Joseph, I'll do. That did not come out the way I wanted it to, Joel. I'll do you. Oh, that did not. I won't do.
I'm good.
I'll start talking.
So it bothered me when it was happening that they kept turning his mic on at the end of every question, giving him the last word, if you will. But I don't know if maybe that worked against him in the long run.
It's a great point. People are going to complain that he got so many rebuttals, but the point is, let him hang himself. Joel, I think that's a great observation. Charlie.
So somebody was talking about a 1-point bump in the polls. It's actually a 2-point bump in the polls right after the debate.
What are you saying? Where is that measured? How accurate is it? And what are you seeing?
The polls are biased. I mean, they're not very accurate, but just for what it's worth, I mean, it is sort of the New York Times just posted this.
Like a snapshot poll?
It's just sort of this update of polling data, and it has her up by 2.
I wonder what the surrogates are saying. Jon Carroll texting in the chat. Waltz is on MSNBC. Joseph Lavati, my friend Joe. Are you at a campfire? You're so well lit.
No, it's just my computer. My computer's lighting me up. I turn the lights off. I'm downstairs.
Is your computer have a video of a campfire?
No.
Huh.
I'm in a hotel room not very far from you.
Oh, really? Come on over. Go ahead, buddy. Good to see you.
I'm in Utah, so I'm 5 hours from you right now.
Oh, hello to the brothers.
I did not know that Donald Trump was so obsessed with the damn border, and I really did know that he was obsessed about apparently people coming over the border eating people's pets. And I think that was the most bizarre shit I think I've ever heard in my life.
So the thing about
a presidential person in a debate ever.
I think that's an important point to make tonight, because it is going to be the most quoted, referred to moment, probably the most played moment for a lot of reasons. It will be memed as well. And here's the thing about that. If you've been paying attention to that, it's a super racist, fake thing and absolutely horrendous. And JD Vance and he are, and it was so upsetting. But here's what is so satisfying. Eric Erickson, the dumb right-wing red state Trump supporting loser, tweeted about that, Joe. He tweeted, "You stupid MFers just got Trump to repeat your lie about the pets. Congrats on setting the news stories tomorrow by lying so Trump picks up and says stupid shit." So that, to me, is going to be the outcome. And Joe, I'm glad you brought it up. Somebody had to. Charlie, Mark, Nick, Phil, keep it short, everybody. I want to get everybody in here. And I'm recording. I'll share it with folks who are driving for a living, like Rod. Hey, Rod. Go ahead, Charlie. Sometime Charlie will figure out his microphone, and when he does, we're gonna be okay. Scott Williams, you're gonna get called on, so stop acting so chill. Yeah, I see your mouth moving. Your mic's not even on, but I cannot wait to hear what you Dr. Williams, report to the Zoom. All right, Mark Anderson.
Yeah, I think we all feel really good about the debate that we saw, but we're not most of America. I'm afraid that he didn't back away from his authoritarian tendencies. Mm-hmm. He said they'd be going door to door. He really made it clear that he expects to be an authoritarian, and that's going to appeal to his base and maybe another 5%. And it's damn frightening, because when he starts talking going door to door, we've seen this before, and we knew it was going to come. But, in the past, he's always couched it, tried to make it sound less ominous. He didn't back off today.
That's a really good point, bringing us back to reality. We are in a silo of people who live on Earth 1, and I do hope they come to your door first, Mark. Oop, was my mic on? Nick.
To follow up with what Mark's saying, what's as important or more important than the debate itself is how it ends up getting spun through the media sphere tomorrow in the next couple of weeks. So I think the best way, I think the Democrats have to figure out a way to control the media narrative. And the best way to do it is to start asking questions as to whether it's too late to replace Trump at the top of the ticket, because he's obviously mentally unstable. That's how I would approach it.
It's too late, though, because his name's on the ballot. It's been
No, I understand that. But it's just a question of how do you kind of disembowel him going forward. The policies don't really matter to the 10% of the people who haven't made their mind up yet. These are people that, they live on some other planet. But what will is to really get under his skin and really undercut his authoritarian nature to make, as Mark said, that's going to attract a bunch of people, and they will, if you do that to an authoritarian, it really is going to undercut him more than simply.
You've nailed on. You've settled on gold. I would not have thought of that. That idea is gold. Someone has to get that into the ears to drive a media cycle where they start talking about replacing him.
Yeah, and then they won't, obviously, but that'll drive him insane and make him look weak. And that's a pretty powerful way to diffuse an authoritarian leader like he has obviously become. I mean, he didn't refer to Orban because he happens to like the guy's name. I mean, it's clear he's gone to that route. When you put under pressure, his default notion is attack, authoritarian, narcissist, scumbag. So you got to hit him there. That's what I would do.
Phil, great comments. As always, the brilliant Nick DiFabrizio, who literally knows Donald Trump and sued him or litigated against him.
I don't know.
You know him. You guys are.
I know of him.
You went to camp. You went to camp with him. You rented apartments with him. Phil Round is in Wyoming, and it's always great to see you, my friend. What were your thoughts on tonight's debate?
Yeah, we're creating Democrats over here. We've got Dick Cheney, a Democrat now, and Liz Cheney. So we're working person by person in Wyoming, the most red state. People are. I have to admit that I only saw the second half of this thing, but people are saying that Trump had a bad debate. I don't think that's true. I think he had the same debate he had with Biden. It's just that she was able to tear him apart, which we all wanted to happen. But I don't think he was any worse than he was in the other debate. It's just that Biden couldn't do the job, and she simply did the job, and she was masterful.
That's one way of certainly looking at it. I mean, a lot of people said that, Biden was so bad the last debate, and it obfuscated how bad Trump was and how much he lied. And we tried very hard to get people to care about that. But of course,
the Washington Post little group that they had of people leaning one way or another agrees with exactly what you just said. All the people that were Trump leaning before and all the questions they asked, I was just reading through the whole thing. They just picked out the little nuggets that were for them and seemed to have blacked out the entire rest of everything. So he didn't lose anyone who was already in his camp.
Well,
he may have gotten people to stay home though. There might be a talk in the future of people who are simply not going to go vote now, which of course could make all the difference in the world.
For better or for worse, we live in a soundbite world. And so that debate will be chopped up into clips. And we know that Trump talking about immigrants eating people's pets will be an obvious one. But my question to you is, what
Taylor Swift just endorsed Trump. I'm Biden. Just endorsed Harris. Excuse me.
Jesus Christ! You're going to
Taylor Swift just endorsed.
Really? I just went on an emotional roller coaster.
Bill, what were you drinking? I just want to know what Bill B was drinking. What were you drinking tonight, Bill B?
That was the worst.
I was drinking.
She just endorsed Viktor Orban. I'm seeing it right here.
She endorsed her, and she did it with a picture of herself holding a cat.
I think Bill is doing the one where he takes a drink for every lie Trump told.
Yeah, sadly, it's just Coke Zero. That's it.
That'll mess you up.
Throw some vodka in there. I was about to land my brilliant salient commentary, and
sorry, buddy.
And you forced in breaking news, which I think is fine given the news. I actually think I would have interrupted me too with the Taylor Swift news. But the way that you failed was so unbelievably remarkable. You're probably one of the smartest, most well-spoken people I've ever met in my life. And I will take great glory in the failure and that it was live. I want to write about it in my journal and talk about it. So that's huge. Taylor Swift endorsing. And all I was going to say before you so rudely interrupted with a very misleading endorsement was that we live in a soundbite world. Where is the soundbite? I'll go back to you, Boyle, because maybe you can save yourself. That makes her look bad tonight. Show me the soundbite they play on Fox News or Right Wing that makes her look bad. They'll find a million, fine. But there's not one moment. There's not one moment where she even contradicted herself, much less flubbed up or she got off to a little slow. Nothing. I was going to say she got off to a little bit of a slow start on her script. Whose fucking mic is open? But anyway,
she sounded a little. She always starts slow though, right? And so she did sound a little bit not. She never
prepped and scripted on the economic question.
Yeah, I would say honestly, first time I've ever. I usually watch these later. I don't watch the whole thing, whatever. So take it with a grain of salt. But I didn't see anything that they could pull out. Not a thing.
I didn't either. And think about it, folks, and see what they are. We'll see. They're going to use something. Drew and Rob Dog both have their hands up. I don't know who is first, but they can fight it out.
Actually, we have a song we wanted to sing.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Just kidding. But I wrote my shit down so I don't bother anybody. So
look at you. Vicky, hold on a second, Rob Dog. Vicky, what do you have? I know you're taking care of that child. What do you have for Rob Dog for his polite? Right. There's something going on.
I want the child.
She wants. Oh, That would be amazing if she gave you
the ultimate gift. Yeah.
Okay, Rob, she's busy with something. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I thought it was good that she was able to get like her foreign policy chops in. Like, I talked to, Zelensky a few days before Russia invaded, this and that. I mean, I thought that was brilliant. She was able to get in. I've been all over the world. She said a lot of great things. She's, been there, done that already in her VP. And yeah, just generally speaking, she played like prosecutor and more or less cross-examined him and kind of just let him hang himself. She got under his skin. She got him to react, and he just folded like a deck of, of cards.
There was leaking from the campaign that she was going to try to get under his skin, and I didn't like. Oh
yes,
I didn't like that they were leaking that. Like, let her. I
remember you saying that earlier, but then I
thought, well, don't do that. Like, don't. He'll see it coming. He'll see it coming, and he'll pivot because he's good in the moment. And so I was very happily surprised, Rob Dog, that she said the crowd size comment, and he took it.
Hook,
line, and sinker.
She did it like in her own like prosecutorial way, that she knew it would. She kind of knew the buttons to push to get him to flip. And then I always give you credit for this because you were yelling in like 15 and 16, like, he's a conspiracy theorist. He's fucking nuts. He's a conspiracy. She brought out his conspiracy theorist craziness. You know what I mean? I mean, from the fucking pets to this and that. And so he just went completely off the rails and completely exposed himself for all the stupid shit that he absorbs all day long from the worst sources in the world, and just exposed him for what he is. So I thought it was fucking brilliant.
Well said, buddy. And great to see you here and great to hear from you.
So Rob Dog, you get
look at
a butterfly sippy cup.
Look at that.
Oh, I could use a sippy cup.
Hey, you can conceal your libations.
Right. Or towards the end of the night when I start spilling shit on myself.
To the detriment of your grandbaby.
Right. When at the end of the night, I stop spilling on myself.
And you can only have her when she's Miss Baby. Right now, she's an angel.
Be amazing. Right. If you could teleport your child to other people when they're bad, when they're misbehaving, like, oop, and you're gone. And then she just shows up on Rob Dog and she's just screaming, and Rob Dog's, I don't know what to do. He's got a sip.
I got this.
Drew, great comments, Rob Dog. Drew has his hand up, I think.
I was just going to point out, this is an absolute nothingness, but at the very beginning of the debate, or from last debate, everybody was getting on Biden for misspeaking at the very beginning of the debate. The moderator introduced Harris, or in the beginning said, when you and President Trump were elected in 2020, speaking to Harris. But
right.
Just to point out, sometimes people misspeak, not a big deal.
Right. What else? Who's up? Nick, did your hand go back up? Reactions to the debate watch party. Thank you to the over 80 people who joined us, most of which are still here. Amazing. Just amazing to be here with all of you and to see so much action and reaction. And Nick, back to you.
Rob really made a good point about being a good prosecutor. It reminded me when I was a young lawyer, I took a litigation seminar with, of all people, John Barry, who happened to be Trump's brother-in-law, married to his sister. And one of the things you remember is that they taught you that a really good litigator is expert at leading a hostile witness to a place they don't want to go or they shouldn't go, and getting them to make fools of themselves. And that's really what she did. He's a hostile witness if there ever was one, and she expertly led him into one trap after the other. And that's the skill she showed tonight, I think.
Love it. Great points. Yeah. I mean, people are going to say that the moderators gave him too much time with his rebuttals. And I would say that time was rope that was slack that tightened around his dumb neck.
Anybody will tell you in a court case, the more you talk, the worse it is. It's almost always the case. Talk less.
Right. Let's go to.
That's what I felt.
Let's go to Lori Speranzo, who I went to high school with, graduated with, and have known most of my life. I saw that you just subscribed, and I saw that you were here, and it just made me
resubscribed. It's been a hot minute.
Resubscribe. Welcome back.
Thanks,
how would you like, just be quickly before your comments, how would you like to embarrass me about who I was?
You know what? I am
I mean,
how do you unsubscribe?
Occasionally you post pictures with hair, so you do it to yourself. I'm
there
good.
You go. I did once. Lori can confirm that I had a full head of hair at one point.
But I think one of the things that I worry about a little bit in all of this is we're riding a high right now because she did eviscerate him, right? Like this was an amazing scenario. The problem is this country is not one person, one vote. It is the Electoral College that we need to worry about.
Right.
And so I am going to just encourage everybody on here to keep talking to people, to keep getting people to consider voting for the correct, not the right, but the correct side of things, because it does matter. I just recently learned that in Pennsylvania, mail-in votes are not counted at all unless the difference between the two candidates is less than the number of votes mailed in.
Yeah, that's
terrifying that they're not even opened. They're not even looked at. So it is the Electoral College that matters. So we just still need to keep in mind that this isn't just a riding the high, hoping for the blue wave. We actually have to do something about it to make sure that it's the big picture, not.
I'm going to look into what you just said about those votes. That would be shocking if that were true. But there are some, you can understand why they wouldn't need to count them if it was such a landslide.
Right, but it's terrifying.
If there were less ballots left, if you do the math, which you are an expert at doing and not me, as a result of our grades in high school.
It's terrifying, right?
Terrifying.
People do not even open or consider the mail-in votes in Pennsylvania.
How is that possible? How is that possible?
I can't believe that's true.
All right, let's go to Lori. Great to hear from you. Ian Morse, you have your hand up. Ian is a lawyer. He's a criminal prosecutor. He's a defender. He's a legal expert. He is someday going to retire in Hawaii, hence the shirts.
I was a prosecutor, so was my wife, and 20 years of defense work since then.
Both. Yes, thank you.
That was classic DA cross-examining a criminal defendant who's a narcissist who can't help but take the bait on the situation. That couldn't have gone better for Kamala. She's done that hundreds of times or dozens of times, and she's been trained to do that, and it was perfectly executed to drag him out like that.
Is there a moment that you could point to during that debate which illustrated what you're saying about her skill set and how she drew him out?
Well, I thought that she looked at him whenever she wanted to make comment about him by sort of confronting him. I agree with Bill. The moment she walked on the stage and walked over and made him shake hands with her on her terms, she had the upper hand and she never let it go. And
she squeezed his hand.
I'm sure. And
real hard.
You could see her aggressively using her body language to look at him and to confront him, and he would never look at her. And then when she was making her case to the people, she turned and did it to the camera. It was brilliant coaching, and it's prosecutor 101. You stare at the defendant when you're cross-examining them, and then when you're getting good stuff, you talk to the jury. It was perfect.
What does it mean? What does it mean when you and I are in court or debating or even arguing because we're married, and I look at you, but you don't look at me? I address you, but you don't address me, because she looked at him, and there were a lot of different looks that she gave that said different things, in my opinion. He never looked at her, and it seemed like it was because he's, I think what I'm trying to point my finger at is he's terrified of strong women, and he's rarely would ever allow himself to be in a room with a strong woman. In fact, when he is in a room with a strong woman, he tells his people, because he's so weak, to get her to leave because she's making him feel small, is my opinion. So I think body language
was on informational and emotional overload, and he could not take her expressions and staring at her and interacting with her. You could see from his split screen that he was about to lose it. I mean, he couldn't keep a straight expression. He couldn't keep from reacting.
Fucking fuming.
I don't think he had it in him to not blow up if he looked at her. I just don't think he had it in him. So, and it's, I guess he's trying to be sort of disrespectful or powerful or something, but I thought he just looked like, I thought it was just the worst look for him ever. He's going to hate the way this looked.
One of the weirdest things, I wonder if people I don't know, I don't want to insult anybody, but doesn't everybody hear this the same way? He stole from the store. I didn't steal from the store. You stole from the store. Don't we all hear that the same way as 6 to 9, 4 to 7?
I'm rubbing your glue.
I mean, he said, I'm not the bad one. She is the bad one.
Yeah, he did it like 10 times.
Quickly, I want to throw out specifically to the ladies. This next question is a lady's choice, a ladies only. I was happy the moderators brought up abortion. How did you, I think that's going to get a lot of attention. Somebody mentioned it earlier, how she illustrated specific people and she showed empathy, and he lied. There was one of the few fact checks that happened when he talked about, as I said he would, there's a 3-year-old baby. It's his 3rd birthday. They bring him candles and then they kill him. Democrats kill the baby at his 3rd birthday. Okay. Ladies, abortion or anything else, I'd love to hear from women because obviously I want to hear from you first. Because a bunch of guys are going to answer that question. So would some woman please save me and say how that section landed, the abortion talk?
No, we like seeing you squirm.
Amazing. If you all solidarity in like a private chat, we're like, no one's no one, not one lady here crosses.
Don't force me to discuss abortion.
But for the abortion rights issue, the privacy issue, the issues between a woman and her doctor, she was able to draw him out to just say the most ridiculous things from 7, 8, 9 months. I just thought she was masterful. My anticipation is that she would put her DA hat on and go at him from that perspective. And I think she just did a masterful job. Yep. This could not have been a better birthday present for me than to be absolutely right about VP Harris. I am so freaking thrilled tonight. What I want to do and what I want to encourage you guys to do, take this win. It is so difficult for Democrats and progressives and liberals to actually celebrate a freaking win. We got to win tonight, guys. Enjoy the win. Let's wake up tomorrow and go to work. But tonight, enjoy this win because it is sweet. It's like that wonderful Georgia peach I ate earlier today. It is sweet and juicy and delicious, and we did it.
Jon Carroll, let's go to you for a quick happy birthday to one of our favorite human beings ever to live.
Everybody real softly to Vicky. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Vicky. Happy birthday to you.
All right, there it is, right there.
I think someone fell down the stairs.
Special to us. Right there at the end, someone did pass.
Happy birthday, Vicky. What a fine point that was to put on this as well.
Yes, very positive.
This is a win. We can be energized. It's like Pete. I wish I was with you out there, standing on corners and climbing through people's windows.
I will tell you this. I almost melted. Quickly, the headlines. Chris Wallace absolutely buries Trump's debate performance. Quote, just as devastating for him as last debate was for Biden. Taylor Swift endorses warrior Kamala Harris moments after debate with Trump. Next headline, conservatives pan Trump's furious debate performance. Quote, she's mopping the floor with him. Fox News' Brit Hume declares Trump had a bad night debating Harris. She baited him successfully. And breaking, Kamala Harris campaign challenges Donald Trump to another debate. Ladies,
top of the New York Times. Pete, you forgot. Top of the New York Times says Hunter Biden, is his punishment enough?
Ladies and gentlemen, that is our debate watch party. Unless you have a final point that you want to make, I want to thank you for joining us tonight. And tomorrow's show will be late because I'm just going to try to get people to aggregate reaction to the debate, but it sounds like most of us have a shared belief. Vicky, great point. Positive point to end on, and happy birthday to you. I love you guys. This was really amazing to have so many of you joining us tonight, late into the night. I'll be back out there trying to register voters, knocking on doors, and interviewing people this week in Nevada, and hopefully coming to a swing state near you. And I can't do it without you guys. This is
love you, Pete.
A family. Love you guys.
Pete, what is your next stop?
I'm working it out right now because this was the pilot. How does Nevada go? What do I do that actually makes a difference with me on the ground that I can't do from my home studio in terms of context?
I've got a couple options for you.
And I know you said you ceased fundraising, but do you mind giving out your Venmo?
Well, yeah, I ceased fundraising.
Pete-Dominic.
One of the things was, how expensive was this going to be? And people have stepped up, but also, like Cassie, I'm at her place. Like that's a huge,
nice pad, man.
Yeah, she's got a home theater. So.
Just a home theater,
right? Where you at? Looks like the Playboy Mansion. What the hell's going on over there?
Sadly, it's the only room in her house. Cassie's not here. She's in Iceland, by the way. It's what's hilarious. Just real quick. So Cassie and her husband, obviously live here in Vegas. A wonderful home, very generous people. They created Pod Jam last year. We got together for the first time because of them. They're amazing people. So they went on vacation to Iceland, and Cassie feels bad because she's so involved and so engaged here in Nevada politics and in so many ways. And she's like, you could just step up for me while I'm gone. So like I'm helping her. I feel her guilt, which is ridiculous because she does more than so many people and she does so much. But the funny thing is she's in Iceland where it's absolutely freezing, and I'm at her house where it's 107. So
only 107.
That is it. We are out. You guys, amazing. Thank you for coming tonight. I'm going to share this tomorrow, at least this last half, the post part, for people to listen to, and then I'll aggregate. Let me know if there's anybody you want to hear from in terms of their reaction to the debate. That's what I'm going to try to put together tomorrow, and then I'm going to get back out there here in Nevada and try to do whatever I can. You guys are the best. Cheers. Hold up a drink, Pete Dominic Punch, whatever that is, the origin story. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. This was amazing. Amazing. Good night. I love you. Hang on to Discord. Keep talking on Discord. Discord is 24 hours. Go over there now. Keep talking.
Discord. Big love.
On the Discord right now.
Love, Pete.
All right, there you go, everybody. That was the Hangout. If you're still with me, wow. I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you very much for listening all the way to the end. You are a true bumblebee today. That is all I've got for you. I hope to host a Hangout tonight if I don't have more pressing campaigning that I can do, making the impact here in Nevada as much as I can. So I'll wait for that email and look for the heads up tomorrow. All right, that's it. That's all I got for you today. Jon Carroll taking us out as he does every day because he writes the music because he is the best. JonCarroll.org. Go support him. Thank you for supporting me. I love you guys. Talk to you tomorrow.
When you're tired of begging, saying pretty please, that's the time you gotta finally get up on your knees. When you can't see the forest for the burning trees, you got to stand up. Hey, you've been sitting so long, you got the creaky knees, you got to stand up. Stand up. I think you're driving wheels with leaking grease. Boy, you better stand up. Stand up. Well, there's a whole lot more of us who know what's right. They'll keep right on ignoring us if we keep sitting tight. You got to open up the window to let in some light. You got to stand up. That's right. You got to rise up. You got to stand up. You got to stare the devil straight in the eye. You got to let him know it's his turn to go. See it clear when all you hear is a lie. Don't get up off of your butt, get down off of your fence. Even if it ain't a very friendly audience, well, they'll begin to listen when you start making sense. And you stand up, stand up. No need to point your rifle to defend your town. Just stand up, stand up. You know they can't deny you what you're laying down. Boy, you better stand up, stand up. Show your face of every color, yellow, black, red, and brown. This is the place where every lost child will finally be found. There's only one thing to do before we stand our ground, and that's stand up, stand up. Well, the founding fathers saw a land for all. They had to stand up, they had to stand up. They had a keen imagination for a crystal ball, drawing all the plans of a stand up. But all they had to go on was the time they were in, with other causes for laws, and since they weren't even sin, They knew that change was gonna come before the change could begin. They had to stand up. All right, they had to stand up. We got to stand up. We got to look the devil square in the eye. We gotta let him know it's his time to know and make it clear when all we hear is a lie. Why you lying awake wondering where the money all went? It'll be the cost of freedom that'll go unspent. You can see him flee the scene of that experiment if you stand up. All right, we got to speak up. We got to reach up and raise your voice in every way you know how. Don't be toes up. You got to show up. Ain't no better time to do it but now. No need to pledge allegiance to no wanton tribe. Rise up, show obedience to the voice inside, and listen well and it'll tell you not to run and hide. It says stand up.